Can you hear me now? Okay, you should be able to hear me now. How's everyone doing tonight? Um, Hopefully you can actually hear me now. I think you can. Okay. Yeah, my stream is like way behind for some reason. I don't know if there's a delay put into it or what's going on. But yeah, I'm planning on hanging out for the next hour and a half. There's a live stream later that I plan to raid. Josh, the old card shop, is going live with a handful of good folks, and they will be discussing Denver. Denver Collecticon was just last weekend. I think it was just last weekend. Um, yeah, he's gonna be recapping that with it looks like we might get a face reveal out of Ponga. There's a question mark next to it, so I don't know for sure. Swami, Wheels Warehouse, and Ray. So that'll be cool. Mr. Walrus says I can always hear what your heart is saying. I don't know why that's so tiny. Make that bigger. But yeah, looking to just hang out for the next hour and a half. If anyone's got any questions, as always, feel free to just leave them. Um, Tonight I have after this live stream is done, put the kids to bed. I'm gonna be listening to that live stream out of those gentlemen, those aforementioned gentlemen, and I have a lot of orders to pack, and I have cards to pre-grade, and all kinds of stuff to do. So it's a busy night of work, working nights these days. That makes sense. But yeah, nice to see everyone. We got the chef, we got Birch, we got Brody Play, Shug Nasty, Brandon, Gym Leader Pepe. We got Trow. Trow is always got the trademark. Always pumping, chilling. We got Justin, we got Kevin. Nice to see everyone. The Pokemon Dentist. It was tiny because it was meant to be whispered into your ear. Ruin the moment. But yeah, tonight's a big night. Rangers kick off their season. The NHL season officially started Tuesday, I believe it was. Been a few matchups in the books. I've got my DraftKings sportsbook bets placed. Took the Rangers over the Sabres -1.5. I took Chris Kreider to score the first goal. We'll see how that goes. But let's go on Ponga. Enjoy your stream later if you decide to make your reveal. It's going well. I still don't have my schedule fully sorted out. I'm actually doing some like major, kind of a crazy time to be doing some major, not really renovations, but I guess I'll say renovations and updates to how and where I store my inventory. Because not only am I working nights now, but Troll and Toad, it's only been a little over a month. Like 151 was the first set that I had to take in full directly. All the other sets I was doing, my main distributor was going to Troll and Toad, and my secondary distributor was all I was taking to me. So, yeah, all of 151 coming to me was something. I did not yet have it all sorted out. I don't have all the systems in place, but thankfully, 151 was a really good selling set. So a lot of it just came in and went out. I was able to just flip ETBs on eBay at a profit. I was able to move a lot of it at a profitable amount, which has not been a thing and likely will not be a thing when my 27 cases of I believe that's what I've got coming. 27 cases of man, I'm losing it right now. What's the next set called? Completely blanking. Paradox Rift. Yeah, 27 cases of Paradox Rift coming that likely won't be going anywhere anytime soon. So we'll see how it all goes. Nice to see you, Thurko. I've actually been playing some RuneScape again. I can't make any promises that it will happen this month. I'll have to hit up Skya, see when he's gonna be ready to do some training on Tombs of a Masket. But I have been working towards reacquiring my quest cape. And once I do that, I kind of want to get into TOA. Maybe my monthly stream this month It might end up being Ripping 151 or something of that nature, but it might just be plain RuneScape too. Paradox Whiff. Already got the nicknames lying at the ready for when it doesn't do well. We'll see how it does though. We'll see where it goes. For some reason my music is not playing. It took me this long to realize I wasn't listening. Now I'm gonna get myself I don't know if that came through my microphone, but it came out my speakers for a second there. Okay, now it's working. To be fixed. Yeah, I did see Nick doesn't grace that content. He doesn't grace us with that content on YouTube, but I did see him posted somewhere in Discord or maybe on Instagram. He pulled a Moonbryon and then another. Was it another evolution? I forget what the other one was, but Moonbryon was the notable one. Paradox will do the best of all Scarlet Violet booster box so far with ease. The best of all Scarlet Violet, that's a low bar. So whether that's the case or not, that's a pretty low bar. So we'll have to see. Darren says, I've had awful results attempting to source cards lately. I chalked it up to rotten luck the past couple times. The last group came in and the conditions are just not worthy. I'm doing something wrong. I don't know if you want to get into it or not, Garen, but if you want to get into it, what cards are you sourcing exactly? Are these cards that you've sourced multiple times over and the quality is getting worse as you go on? Generally, as a set ages, it's just going to get harder and harder. Less of it's being opened, more of it has passed through more hands. But yeah, it all depends on what you're working with. Are you working with the newest sets? Are you working on hits from Scarlet and Violet era sets? Those have not been high quality. So maybe you're just dabbling in new sets that you've not done before that are just like fighting an uphill battle. I know I've heard multiple times people claim that like, oh, Dan says everything grades easy 10s. As most of my content is, that video, PSA 10 participation trophy, was fraught with disclaimers. And it was not only, it was less speaking about today, and it was more speaking of a theoretical future. If and when Pokemon actually took care in producing sets to high quality, they clearly can do it. Because historically they've done it. Japanese Nubac for a long time was bulletproof, 90+% 10 rates. Quite common, not universal, but quite common. Look at the Nagabas. And then look at the Celebrations Charizard. Look at a lot of the Celebrations cards. Look at a lot of the ultra modern alt arts. Really, really high print quality. If Pokemon put all their efforts, if for whatever reason, clearly they're probably not going to, but if for whatever reason they decided to put all their efforts into making the cards as high quality as possible, I think that would be something PSA would have to reckon with. The fact that 10's being too easy, but that's more of a theoretical. There are certain cards, there are certain niches, there are certain like things that you can grade that I would call a participation trophy. But by no means, and I said it in the video multiple times, I was not calling a PSA 10 base versus Charizard. I was not calling WotC. I was not calling Mid-Era. I would not call Scarlet and Violet sets participation trophy 10s. But anyways, that's the way it goes. You make a video, you make disclaimers, you say certain things. 20-minute long video, the title and or like a 5-second, 10-second clip out of it get taken out of context, and that's the way it goes. Mr. Walrus sold Nick those packs in Charlotte. Oh, was there a Quaza? I think Dan just rattled off all his 10 plays. Yeah, there's definitely, it's a very interesting thought. Like, it's kind of interesting and funny too how many people get so mad at Pokemon, supposedly. Like they act like they're so frustrated, act like they're so mad, but they won't stop buying. Like that's the Pokemon knows they have us. It's like grading companies. I've had my grapes with PSA, with CGC, with BGS, with any 3-letter acronym grading card company. And I keep going back. I keep giving them not only do I give them my money, I give them more money than I ever used to. People talk about inflation, talk about all this and that. Talk about FeeBay. Look at PSA. I used to historically pay PSA less than $8 a card. They've doubled it now. They've more than doubled what I've historically paid, and I'm sending as many as I've ever sent to them pretty much. So people complain about Pokemon quality being poor. We buy record amounts of Pokemon cards. So it's like, should they put any extra effort they have, any extra time, any extra R&D expense, whatever, should they put that into improving the cards? Or should they just put that into making more cards? I think putting it into making more cards makes sense. They're listening to our wallets. They're not listening to our words. They're listening at our wallets, listening to our wallets and looking at our spending patterns, and they're realizing that they have us. They've got a monopoly over those little creatures we know and love. So appreciate you, Java. I see that 5 gifted. I think Java's actually live later. I did already mention, and I did already set up my live stream redirect for OldeCardShoppe. I really like the I used to watch Twitch a few years back. I used to watch it. I wouldn't say a lot, but I used to watch it a few times a week at least. I think Twitch is really solid with the whole like rating culture or whatever you want to call it. Just, hey, send viewers somewhere else that they might like the content. I've already set up my raid to raid OldeCardShoppe for the post Denver. But if I hadn't, I would have rated yours, Java. I think it's cool when people will just send their viewers over somewhere else that they likely would enjoy. And I'm sure that would be the case with Java's content, and I'm sure that will be the case with OldeCardShoppe's content tonight too. So yeah, ideally stay here. Ideally stay here till 8 o'clock, till I'm done. And then, yeah, you'll have either Java to go check out or you'll have OldeCardShoppe to go check out. I want Nick content. Dan. Also Dan. I didn't watch the whole thing. Duraludon, then Rayquaza, then Moonbreon, back to back to back. That's crazy. Are we sure PK didn't have his hands on those packs at one point? It almost feels like those could have been PK specials. How's it going, Pikachu? Nice to see you. Definitely a win for the old eBay Live, going 3 alt-arts in a row. What's your take on the latest Japanese Pikachu promos? I think the latest Japanese Pikachu promo, if I'm not mistaken, is the Detective Pikachu one. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I have a couple different Japanese sources that I buy from, boxes, promos, whatever it may be. They know at this point what I'm after, and they knew that promo was going to be on my radar. Well, they had quoted me. I want to say like months ago, they quoted me $30 a piece, so 100 for 3,000. And I'm like, it feels like that's gonna come down. Let me wait till it gets closer and let me know as the prices drop. So they hit me up a couple of weeks ago, maybe a few weeks ago, and they're like, hey, 100 pieces is now 20 each, $2,000. And I'm like, I like it better than 30, but I think it's gonna go lower. And then out of like, I don't follow it every minute, hour, but just recently I hit them up. I heard someone talking about it somewhere that those were like going up, and I'm like, oh crap, I probably missed it. I think I was quoted 35 each now, or 100, and that was a couple days ago, so maybe it's even higher now. But I'm probably not gonna chase it at this point. If and when I miss it, I miss it. It's not a big deal. There's always a lot of things out there. But yeah, obviously in hindsight, I would have bought 100 at 20. I would have bought 1,000 at 20 if I knew they were going to do that in the short term, and then I could have just, yeah, I could have sold half of them raw, had a bunch out of grading already. Hindsight is 2020. Uh-oh. Your average player just got the notice from my house owner that they're in debt and they need me to move out. Trow's got a spare room for you, or maybe a spare couch or something. I don't know. Walrus trying to import your average player over to the States. Pokemon Wonder grabbing one of those Java memberships. Who else got them? Garen, Brody Plays, Shug Nasty, Gym Leader Pepe, and Pokemon Wonder were the recipients of the Java 5 gifted. Um, Question: Are you planning on sticking to eBay Buy It Nows, or is your strategy changing with more emerging markets like live selling, TikTok? I really don't like the idea of live selling. I think I don't think I know I do not have the personality for it. I do it from time to time here, and I think for my small little viewer base, whatever you want to call it, avoid using the C word, the community word we all know and love. But yeah, I think my viewership is here for me, but it's like very small. I don't think I would have the ability to really garner a big following through ripping. I'm not gonna be what does Ernesto try to call me? Meta Rev or Danny Rev or I'm not gonna be the next Pokey Rev. So I'm not gonna try to do anything live selling. I really like the whole passive is very wrong. It's very much the wrong word, but like active when I want to be active. Active on my own terms at my own time. And obviously I could go live whenever I wanted to go live, but I just like listing things to eBay and then getting notices later that they've sold and then shipping them. That's my favorite thing. I've been on eBay for 20 years now almost. 2004 I started that account. Uh Selling video games, selling coins, selling steins, a little bit of everything going on there. And I've always liked eBay. eBay is by far, well, I mean, you start talking TikTok, you're talking a lot of eyes, you're talking a lot of potential consumer dollars eyes there. But I'm just not a huge fan of it. I like as a consumer, I prefer buying from like an eBay or an Amazon. I prefer just going, clicking buy, and boom, done. Historically speaking, I've bought a lot of auctions. These days, I don't really though. Auction. When you think about it, how crazy auctions are. Like I'm gonna throw something up for a week and hope that someone comes along. Like I think we really take for granted in Pokemon space how crazy auctions are. And a lot of other niche things. Like if I try to auction, if I try to auction my Shelton Dooley, if I try to auction like certain coins, I think coins overall, especially silver ones that are buoyed by their melt value. But if you try to auction the wrong things, they're just like too niche for their own good, and your buyer's not going to come in there within that week span. In Pokemon, we're really fortunate with how liquid they are. It's crazy. Like when I list on eBay, millions of potential buyers can log on at any time and they can search, boom, and then they can have it. It can be there when they want it, if they want it. When you run an auction, you have a week, you have 10 days at most to grab all the eyes. I guess if you do PWCC Golden Heritage, some of those run 30 days. So you have a month to grab all the eyes. But when you run an eBay live auction, when you run a TikTok auction, a whatnot auction, you're talking like 30 seconds to a minute. Just having random, like, I feel like, and maybe it will last forever. I mean, there are so many of those, there are so many of those websites out there. What are they called? Like Quibids, Bees, like, there are some really weird penny auction sites. There's so many businesses. There's so many things that I see in the world, and it's like, how does that even work? How can you just go live on eBay with 30 people watching, and then somehow you sell 100 items at or above or within reason of market? It kind of blows my mind. Maybe it's sustainable. Maybe it will always be there. I'm just so far from being that consumer that will just buy any random thing thrown in front of me. Uh, so I have a hard time wrapping my head around it. Maybe that's to my own detriment. I genuinely don't know. But I really prefer eBay Buy It Nows. So that's the way I'm generally gonna be. Um, $35 is high. 18 to 25 was the price I saw. Problem is they were singles. All those multiples would have been brutal. I think you can succeed live selling if you lose the shirt. Not happening anytime soon. How do you feel about Drip as a platform? I've never been on Drip, but as far as I understand, I think it's just like whatnot. Maybe they do certain things differently, but I'm not aware of what the specific differences are. I think the whole bounties, I think the whole uh things that whatnot is cracking down on, I like them cracking down on that because when you just like there's enough gambling, there's enough risk, there's enough mystery inherently in what we do. When you start like charging extra money to be rolling into some mystery thing. Yeah, it's like I think, and again, I sell random slabs on eBay for like 20 bucks. There's something very different about selling random slabs for 20 bucks on eBay and sending them a slab that would auction anywhere between 10 and 25 bucks and buy it now for between 15 and 25. There's something very different between that and selling a $20 slab or a 15 or a $10 slab with a $30 bounty, that if you hit the bounty, then you get like $5 worth of product and a chance at a $500 product. And it's just so many layers of, yeah, I'm not a fan. Dan slandering auctions again, disgusting. It's great that like we have such a crazy market for this stuff, that auctions can perform so well. Like auctions in Pokemon are actually crazy. It's actually crazy how well they do relative to and the more niche they get, the more obscure the items get, the bigger the spread generally between buy it nows and auctions. And there are so many items in Pokemon where the liquidity is so high that the spread between auctions and buy it nows is minimal. 10, 20, 30%. Many things are 30% or less spread between buy it nows and auctions. And then obviously from time to time you have the occasional auction that outperforms even a buy it now, but that is the exception, not the rule, I would say. um Your average player says, only reason I buy from TikTok now is because they're pumping money into free discounts. You can get sealed products for way under additional prices. I was just having this conversation with some people earlier. Some of it comes down to, like, I've seen people ask and kind of wonder out loud, how can TikTok do that? It's to acquire new customers. A lot of those promotions are just essentially paying to get customers. They're probably subsidizing the loss that the seller is having, selling a Silver Tempest box at like 80 or whatever with a 20-25% off coupon. There's a lot of like credit cards. There are certain credit cards out there that will pay you $300, $500. There's certain bank accounts that will pay you $1,000 to open a bank account with them and direct deposit your paycheck and put in X amount of money, because they just know that once you go over the hurdle of doing something, they've got you as a customer now, and you're going to pay them more money down the line. So it's like a small advertising cost up front to acquire the customers. And one thing with TikTok too, like I have TikTok. I post TikToks. I cross post all my shorts and my reels as TikToks as well. But you are valuable for your data too. How much value is there? I have no idea. But if they're paying 20, 30, 40 bucks for someone to lose money on a product, or they're subsidizing the loss on the product, and then they're getting a customer that's worth $50, $100, $500. I don't know how much the average TikTok customer is worth, but clearly there's a value, especially if it's a TikTok customer that's going to be buying stuff in the store for years or decades down the line or something. Like, I don't know. Those are all the things that factor into that, though. I looked at a couple things and it was like, I could save 20 bucks on this. I could save 25 bucks on that. I've not seen a deal that was like worth creating a TikTok shop account. If I could do the same deal 100 times and make like a couple grand, like several $100s, I guess it would be more worth it. But because I can just open another credit card for a few $100, or I can just, it's very easy to find ways to save 20 or 30 bucks on a lot of different things. Question, what's your phone battery percent at? I had it on the charger for a while. 57%. 57%. I love watching top 10 Pokemon's auction recap. Yeah, he's got some nice recaps. What boogeyman was I creating? Dan, is it okay to like Pokemon again, or are we still dead? More importantly, do you have to pay taxes on failed investments? Asking for a friend. Capital losses can offset capital gains, I believe. Verify with your CPA. Um, it's similar to Whatnot, which scares me. Yeah, I don't know anything about Drip more than it's just similar to Whatnot. Auctions created the foundation for your buy it now platform. Please put respect on auctions name. Yeah, I mean, historically speaking, I've used auctions a decent amount. Auctions will still be a part of my business plan for the future. I mean, some amount of items are just worth chewing on through auctions, and then some. Yeah, I've made many videos. I've had many discussions about what the optimal selling method is, selling platform, and all that. Bonus Metal says, Dan, I hang out in a couple of Whatnot streams that do $1 starts and 10-second sudden death. They seem to do very well most of the time on low value stuff. They will sell a 50-cent card for $3 to $5. I know Master Set Games, actually. I follow him on Instagram. He does like he posts stories all the time of like 100 and something slabs in like 15 minutes, 20 minutes. That kind of blows my mind. I don't know the prices that I think that's the whole point. I don't know the prices off the top of my head on enough things that I could go in there as a consumer and have any idea if what I'm spending is reasonable. I guess 10 seconds, if you have it set up right. You can have your phone on the table, you can have your desktop right here, boom, boom, you can be Googling, comping things really quickly. But I doubt hardly anyone is doing that. People are just like, ooh, Charizard, $30. Ooh, Raichu, 25 bucks. Like, they're just guessing. It's like, okay. And I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming there's a fair bit of I'm assuming there's a fair bit of buyer's remorse once they get the items in. If they were to comp them on eBay, last sold, low list. Most consumers don't do that though, especially on like Whatnot and Drip probably. I think and I do this all the time myself, and I try to avoid doing it. But we we think that we are the average, like we think that everyone has the same information, everyone has the same brain that we do. But they don't though. Like if you're in this stream, you're pretty deep into Pokemon. You probably search by low list. You probably look at low list last sold. You probably know what TCG fish is, Pokedata. You probably know how to grade your own cards. The average consumer of eBay, the average consumer of Whatnot and Drip, these platforms, our average consumers that we sell to, they search Pokemon card, graded Pokemon card. They take the best match. They just buy it. They don't know how to comp. They don't know look up low list last sold. A lot of people are buying their first slab still. It's pretty crazy when you like put yourself in the shoes of the average consumer. Yeah, there are so many cards people don't know about, and they don't mind spending a couple bucks on something they like, even if they're overpaying. Get an audience of 50 people, you can do very well just based on that fact. People think something is neat, and they don't have any time to check on comps. Yeah, I'm not crazy. I know I've seen screenshots of a lot of Nick's sales from time to time. Usually each night he'll have a couple standout sales of kind of a crazy price. I mean, I sell some of these with promotions at 5%, and I sell them for 30, 40, $50 over market. It's not like I'm coming from an angle of I'm better than that, because I'm not. But I just don't like the idea of being live for it. Like if I was live and I was selling this card that I know that I sell anywhere on eBay between 180 and 240, whatever, or even better. Let's say I was selling this Squirtle promo that I know on TCG Player is probably 50 cents. I probably couldn't sell this for $1 or $2 on eBay. I have no idea. I haven't looked it up. But if I were live and selling this for $10 to somebody, I don't know what I would be saying. I would not feel overly comfortable with it. Like, I don't like ripping heavy packs for people on streams and then having them pull Polyraths or something of the sort. Sorry, Ray, if you're watching. um, at least then they knew what they were getting into. They knew that they were gambling, and then they lost the gamble, right? But if I'm just selling this and then some not savvy buyer is bidding $10 or $20 on it, it just feels really weird. And I don't know. I wouldn't want to do that 3 hours a day every day and have to just sell. Yeah, like even if things were selling correctly for the right amount of money, I just don't like the idea of being live for 3 hours a day selling stuff in that fashion. Like it's just not me. So many angles that I don't really prefer it. I'd rather just list things on my own time and then pack and ship them the next day after they sell. Um Why don't you list your items on your website as well? I think this is a really good and a really common question. eBay is horrifically undervalued. eBay, what they provide when it comes to tax compliance, when it comes to sales tax collection and remittance. So Shopify will collect sales tax on behalf of you. You need to register with each state, with each jurisdiction once you cross their threshold. Once you cross their thresholds. I don't know why that's so hard to say. Once you cross their threshold, you need to register with each sales tax jurisdiction independently, each state independently. And Shopify will collect for you, but you need to handle remitting it and doing the quarterly or monthly or annual filings with each state. I ain't all about that. Not by any means. I sell on eBay. They collect, which Shopify does, but they remit. Remitting is when they collect it from the consumer. If you're in New York, it's 9.75. If you're in Arizona, it's this. If you're in Colorado, it's that. And then they remit it. They have an account with New York. They have an account with Colorado. They have an account with Arizona. I don't have to have one. The value of that is already insane. And then when you add in the fact that my website, what is my website? Like, I don't even know where to look for how many visitors my website gets. Probably 50 a month, probably 100 a month, because it's linked in my descriptions. Some amount of people go there for the consignment information. Some amount of people, when I do a stream, I probably get like 100, 200 visitors that day. eBay gets millions every day. So I'm paying for their advertising. I'm paying for their tax compliance, all that stuff wrapped into one. Seller protection. Shopify, I'm sure it exists to an extent, but nowhere near to the level of eBay. The amount of things that eBay gives you, like when people say Feebay, it's like, when people say Feebay unironically, it tells me a lot about that person. Not that they're a bad, but like, yeah, it blows my mind. It blows my mind how people think that 12% is unreasonable for what they're doing. I think a lot of people disservice themselves and disservice their business greatly by not just doing things above board. They stick with friends and family only. They stick with Instagram only, this or that. Like every week I'm dealing with people who are like, hey, it's funny when it's on eBay Vault items too. Now that I sell so much out of the eBay Vault, it's like, hey, you want to go through Instagram to save you fees. But you don't know what fees I pay. A lot of people in here probably know, like the eBay Vault, you can sell your own items for 0% now. There's some amount of a fee coming for buyer's premium. There's some amount of a fee and time and all that to submit the items. There's some amount of customer, blah, blah, blah. If you want to sell your own cards through the eBay Vault, it's there, 0%. If you want to sell them through me, it's there, 5%. You don't have to consume that product if you don't want to. It's an option. But yeah, like Shopify charges me 3% or 3.9 or 2.9. I don't even know what Shopify charges me. eBay only charges me less than 10% more. And they do so much. They do so much for so little, in my opinion. Blows my mind. How's it going? We got Low Pop in here, came into the stream talking about auctions, something never change. Absolutely. This is work. I'm working nights right now. I work between dinner and bedtime, and then I work from bedtime to my bedtime. Why do you keep using Umbreon in the live thumbnail? It's just been defaulted there for a while. I need to, if Ernesto ends up watching this at any point, he did just hit me with a fresh batch of thumbnails, but I don't have many for like live streams. I do have a couple that I haven't used yet, but I need to get like a bigger batch of live stream thumbnails. But people like Umbreon, so people click Umbreon. Go off, Daniel. I don't know what I was saying, but how's it going, Josh? Nice to see you. Big Nasty. We got DC. I did marinated lollipop lamb chops with aged balsamic all day. LOL, I'm done. I saw that. If that's what was in your story, I saw those stories. You and it used to just be Charlie, I think, with a lot of the cooking ones, but now we got Chef out here with those Instagram thumbnails that make you, or not thumbnails, those Instagram stories that make you hungry. Yeah, some of it's like the entertainment angle, some of it is like the supporting someone whose content you enjoy, and I just my favorite whatnot streams that I've ever been in as a consumer were always just box breaks. I remember when John did a box break, I bought a few packs and I hit like 3 out of 3 hollows or something because I was buying a lot of non hollows got hit. I was buying when like the odds were juiced because the 12 hollows were still left. And yeah, but I'm just not like the consumer for maybe 8 years ago, 6 years ago, I would have been more that consumer, but I'm just not there right now. I'm not the consumer. Um, oh yeah, happy anniversary, Josh. No, I know Mason filled in for the Slab podcast. Go check that out if you haven't yet. Hey man, I said it. Ray knew what he was getting into. Ray knew what he was getting into. He gambled and he lost. I could have sold him a $10,000 Charizard for $600 too. Very, very unlikely, but it could have happened. I don't think there were too many sellers after this tax season and the new $600 automatic 1099. We love the tax talk. We love the tax talk. I wanted to be the next Evo for Dan Sealed. That tax stuff is a nightmare. Yeah, if someone wants to consign all my sealed product for 10% like Troll and Toad used to, hit me up. Dan, would you join the podcast alongside Terry Lake? I think you've always had one-on-ones, right? I wouldn't want to I mean I wouldn't decline an invitation to the stream if I was wanted. But I feel like it would be a more entertaining stream if it was just getting to know Terry, getting to know what he does. I see some screenshots of the promos and things that he's hustling on Facebook. Seems like he's doing a good job with that. But if you wanted me to, if Terry wanted me to, we could probably figure something out. My schedule right now is tougher than it used to be. But yeah, I'm very interested to see if you end up getting Terry on. Yeah, and then eBay. Yeah, that's another thing. If I sell through Shopify, $1,000 card, that risk is on me. If I sell through eBay, well, one, I'm gonna send it into the vault and I'm gonna sell it through that, so it's gonna be pre-authenticated. But it goes through authenticity guarantee, and it's a final sale. I don't have to worry about being empty box scammed on a return. I don't have to be worried about them saying that the slab cracked because I send it to eBay. They verify that the slab is in the condition that I pictured it in, and then they send it to the buyer. And if and when any issue happens there in the mail, they take that because they own that. That is amazing. That is amazing value they provide on on that platform. Love me some tax talk. Any IRS lurkers here? Uh-oh. The fuzz is here. Dan always judging people, shaking my head. 12%. I run a baseline 70% to eBay with promotion rate. eBay Vault is if based is a good thing. eBay Vault is very based then. Talk about undervalued Ernesto's thumbnail game. Um Pokemon Wonder hit me with the question mark. It took me a while to get there, but I did get to it. I'm assuming that's about being on with Terry, or is that about something else? Did I miss? Oh, okay. No, no, no. You're talking to Chef. I'll host a party next year at Collecticon Charlotte, but want you to cook for everyone. Okay, so Pokemon Wonder and Poke Chef are working on a Charlotte hangout thing. Dan, do you see yourself buying more or less or the same amount of Japanese product moving forward? Your Nagaba play was your biggest Japanese move you have done, correct? Um, Quantity? I've never bought as many promos or packs as I did Nagabas. But dollar amount? I'm trying to think. Probably in one thing. I remember when the boom happened in 2020, like uh when the boom happened in 2020, I was buying burn towers and I was buying Masaki cards and I was buying all kinds of Japanese promos in high quantity. I was buying screams. I've bought Japanese stuff before. Um, I'm actively buying a little bit. I'm dabbling here and there when the price feels right. I'm buying some Japanese sealed. I'm buying some boxes. Uh, I have like the Precious Collector box. If and when the right stuff comes out, right stuff, right stuff is just like a feel thing. I will go deep on Japanese stuff. It just needs to be the right box at the right price or the right promo at the right price, or it's all about just yeah, having the right opportunity land on me. But I'm spending a decent amount on Japanese product every month. Uh Nowhere near what I'm spending on English, just because I'm hooked into wholesale distribution, and every time a set drops English, like I'm getting 27 cases of Paradox Rift. I'm not buying that extent of Japanese regularly, but if I could get access to more regular supply at more regular prices, I would definitely buy a lot more. Uh yeah, that's the thing. Like I'm taking Walrus's angle. Of course, Brad's gonna be Brad. Brad's always got to stir pots and stuff. I would rather just see an episode with Terry if that's actually gonna happen, because I think that's the whole thing, right? Like I actually love your series. I feel like I would be a detriment to how that episode would go. I don't want some forced like I think your content, your weekly interview, you're a great interviewer, Pokemon Wonder. And yeah, I just wouldn't want to take away from the formula that has worked really well so far. I just last night I finished the episode with Mason, Cardinal Gaming. That was amazing. They've all been amazing. I'm a huge fan of that content, so that's where I'm at. But there you go. If you want to go that route, yeah, if you want to have Terry on, and then if days, weeks, months, whenever down the line, if you start doing like tandems, if you start doing duos, that I'd be 100% up for that. Pokemon Wonder, please remember me after you and Terry go viral. And one way to spread out the risk of grading is to send in multiple submissions rather than one giant submission. This spreads out the risk of getting a bad grader. I feel like this is in the troll territory. It's all the same long term. If you are one person sending one sub a year or every couple of years, it could make a little more sense to spread. But if you're submitting in high volume over a long period of time, it's functionally the same to submit. The only thing that you're guaranteed doing is costing yourself more money in shipping. So the only known that you're guaranteed to do is cost yourself money in submission, in shipping fees and stuff. Because if you're submitting 1,050 card subs versus 500 100 card subs, it's going to average out. Just as many times as you get unlucky, you could have gotten lucky too. So instead of getting all 10s, now you get all 9s. Maybe you could have gotten all 8s on a bad day, but on a good day, you're going to get all 10s. So it's like, yeah. I'm assuming that's a meme thing, though. And that's what Walrus said, too. Oh, yeah. Beerski. Beerski is going live. YouTube debut. Let me actually get a link to that quick. I think I have it in my watch later. Let me see if I can find. Can you link me in Discord or something, Mr. Walrus? Let me check my watch later. I can probably find it. Um, I think I put it in there. Maybe I didn't. If you can find me that stream. Okay, never mind. I found it. I found it. It's Beer O'Clock, episode 1. Yeah, go bookmark, go like and sub and follow and all that good stuff. Go bookmark this stream. Mr. Walrus is going to be live with Beerski, which I'm very excited about. The inaugural episode of the It's Beer O'Clock live podcast. Looking forward to that one. Oh, Mr. Walrus dropped the link. Forgot he's a wrench, so he has the ability to do that. Enjoy your dinner. Justin, nice seeing you in here. Are you surprised the English UPC Mew/Mewtwo promos are so cheap? Speaking with true financial advice in mind, are you picking bill of these up? Are you picking, I don't know what the typo was, but I think I don't know what they're going for exactly. I know that I sold a couple out of the gate for like pretty high, but wholesale price, the packs already make money. So the packs already profit. Then you have the playmat, then you have the promos. It's not that surprising for a mass printed product at release when everyone is breaking them down and listing them for them to go low, right? That's fully expected in my opinion. I have a bunch from breaking product down. I've not bought a bunch more, but if and when, like there's a certain price, I guess, that I would buy a lot. That said, I know that the quality on a lot of them is really, really bad. I went through and I graded some of mine. Some of the metal ones, some of the metal ones were actually pretty high quality. They did an interesting thing. I think to prevent, I don't know if you'll be able to see it, but to prevent the edge chipping, they actually just didn't print the blue all the way out to the edge, or they didn't paint it on, however they do these. That was interesting. So I don't know how grading will be affected by that, but they seem to change the way they painted the backs onto the metal cards, not going to the edge, because that's what led to the edge chipping, I think. It's like, hey, the edge can't chip if the edge doesn't have paint. So be interesting to see how those age, but I think they'll grade a lot better than the Charizard and the Pikachu ones did. Ever think of adding these market chats to Spotify? I'm bad enough about uploading our podcast to Spotify. I don't think I ever will. I don't know. We get so few listens and downloads on Spotify. The effort versus what I get back from it would be some of my lowest hourly rate, some of my worst payback. And it's I enjoy being live on YouTube and it's just done and it's all there. I don't enjoy converting my video to an MP4, MP3 and then uploading it and then I don't enjoy that process. So it's harder to go about doing it. I enjoy recording videos. I enjoy doing my Friday, my weekly short. I enjoy doing my Monday pre-record. I don't enjoy re-uploading the same content to get a fraction of the downloads, the views, whatever. So unfortunately, it probably won't happen. Have you ever dealt with chargebacks from dishonest customers? Yeah, I've definitely actually have chargeback right now, but eBay's on your side. If you get a chargeback that says item not delivered and it shows delivered, you're going to win that. Going back to what I said earlier about thinking eBay is undervalued for what they provide, eBay has seller protection. So if you have a seller account in good standing for a long period of time, if and when it ever came down to a he said, she said, they're likely going to be in my corner on that. There's times where, like, and eBay overall is very buyer slanted, but there are times where they will refund the buyer out of their own pocket and not to the detriment of you. So that is something that I've had happen multiple times over the years. And some of that has been in instances where I've actually had people buy from me, return an empty box. Or I've had people buy from me, shows delivered, they claim it was damaged, they claim this, that. I have no way to like prove it or refute it or whatever. But it used to be more of a thing in Steins. One nice thing about cards is that we have the cert number, right? I mean, they can Photoshop pictures, whatever, if they want to get crazy about it. But I used to sell Steins, and there was a time where someone bought Steins from me. And I know the way I packaged them, like Steins would occasionally break in the mail. These ones were pretty expensive ones, and they would not have broken in the mail. They sent them back to me, and very minor differences. You can tell from the photos that they were different ones, but there was no way the eBay rep was going to see what I was talking about. This little imperfection, that little imperfection. They didn't care. They didn't know enough to look and understand that. I ended up losing that case. I ended up just losing a couple $100, whatever it was. Some amount of that. It sucks, but cost of doing business. And then Mr. Walrus looking for the unethical life pro tip. It's a very unfortunate reality that some amount of people out there are just dirtbags by profession, by trade. It's a known thing, not just in Pokemon, but like there are certain people out there as tenants, as people who just they buy and then they return, like they do return scams to Walmart, to Amazon, wherever it may be. They rent out a place and then they just squat, or they go as many months as they can, screwing their landlord over because they know the exact laws. They know exactly how often they can how much they can get away with. They know exactly the letter of the law, and it's scary to think that people who know exactly how to abuse the systems could actually really detriment you. So yeah, not something I would like to talk about too in depth. Yeah, go check out Mr. Walrus and I both streamed, or both linked the stream. Your excitement is palpable. Thanks, Dan. Thoughts on the poor quality of 151 for grading, Burning Shadows type of quality. We keep buying, so they're not going to up the quality if we don't demand it. How can we actually demand it? Can we actually demand it? Probably not. But yeah, it's not surprising. They're struggling to keep up with demand, so they're cutting corners on quality. It's a pretty reasonable thing from them, honestly. If you can't keep up with demand, you're going to push the limits of what you can possibly produce. And if and when you have quality issues, like where I used to work, there were certain processes that we had that could only put out X amount of product. And sometimes you'd have a customer place 2X of that quantity that you can produce in a certain time frame. And you can run extra shifts, and you can quickly cobble together more equipment to make that product. But a lot of times quality suffers. And if it doesn't matter, like there are some customers, like I'm not going to get too in depth with certain things, but there are certain customers who desire 99.999% purity, 5 nines. There are certain customers that only require 99% purity, 99.9% purity, 3 nines, 2 nines. If we're not demanding 5 nines quality, and they're making the 2 nines, they're making the 3 nines, and we're buying it 99.9%. In this instance, they might be making 80% quality, and we're still buying it. We're still buying it faster than they can produce it. So it makes sense. It makes sense to do what they're doing. It's probably not going to change anytime soon if we just keep buying. If and when things go into some kind of a lull, they might put more focus back into, hey, let's. And I don't know if this is like machines not being serviced quick enough, if this is like blades not being changed out frequently enough. I don't know exactly what causes it, but whatever it is, it's like why fix it? The product's still selling. Professor Birch just stocked up this morning. The day we get pristines out of English packs is the day I drink daily. It's going to be a dark day for the hobby. Yeah, go back to my participation trophy video. That's what I was talking about. If Pokemon put all their efforts into making high quality cards and everything just 10'd out of pack, they can clearly do it. They've done it. It can be done. If whatever, I don't know what, like Red's Pikachu is a card that I think of, the Nagaba Eevees. If they can do it on Red's Pikachu, they can do it on any card. It's like they just don't care to, so they don't. But if they did, it would actually have like massive implications in the market. And that's what I talked about in that video. But a lot of people took it out of context and got all butthurt about it. These promos will get slept on like Charizard UPCs, and now those prices are going up 3 times. Val says, now these promos are mids, let the price tank some more. Oh man, Amplitude. Amplitude dropped a gifted sub for about every person in here. Chat's gonna blow up. Appreciate you, Amplitude. Amplitude's gonna make me switch from fortnightly back to weekly if he drops too many. I'm gonna feel bad getting this many, and then I do like though. Every time Amplitude drops 50, I like that I can see everyone that's lurking though. I'm keeping an eye on all the lurkers right now. Appreciate you, Amplitude, as always. eBay fees for normal stores are 13.25%, and it's on sale price, sales tax, and shipping, plus the 30-cent transaction fee. The actual fee is closer to 15 to 20% on lower priced item. And I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, if people think selling a $5 item and eBay charging you 15 to 20% isn't reasonable, sell it on your own site then. Sell it somewhere else. Sell it on Instagram. Individually, sell them on Instagram and see if you make it out ahead. I'm sure some amount of people do. But for me, it's like, I would rather pay them 20%. I used to pay Troll and Toad Evo 50%. Items under $1.09. I used to pay them 7 cents to raw fulfill and then 50% fee. Gladly. I would pay someone an 80% fee on certain items. They were doing the fulfillment and all that too, to be fair. But anyways, great thing about eBay is like no one's forced to use it. It's there. It's an option. You don't have to use it. So like there's TCG Player, there's Amazon, there's Instagram stories, like whatever. Yeah, Shopify. Like it's great that we have options in competition. I feel like eBay is one of the ones that I feel like they don't have any very valid competition, which is a little scary. But more PWCC, Heritage Golden, when it comes to cards. eBay is so broad, they do a lot of things. So it's like depends on, if you're looking at cards, the competitors would be those. If you're looking at like phone cases and cables, and then the competitors, Amazon. So they have different competitors depending on what you're looking at. But who is more on your side, eBay or Nationwide? I would say eBay. I'm late to my question, but the Mew was $9 and the Mew was $4. So one of them was 9 and one of them was 4. When I had someone empty box return me, and thankfully this has largely gone away because of eBay authenticity guarantee, I signed an affidavit. I just signed an affidavit, and at the risk of like perjuring myself, I signed a police report essentially, and eBay then refunded me. Whether or not they took it from the buyer, I don't know, but I've done that a couple times over the years. Very, very rare though, thankfully. Without getting into paywall info, be as vague as you want, but when sourcing from eBay, is there a certain style of listing you're looking for? Avoid multiple quantity, style in which they photograph. If they charge shipping, is it something that draws your attention or you stay away from? I buy very little on eBay, to be honest. I love TCG Player because I can go to one place, click 2 or 3 buttons, and buy 50 of a card, 100 of a card. I would rather pay more money for someone else to do the bulk of the heavy lifting. I do not just go into eBay listings. Like if and when I do, there's actually like a tricky way to search by minimum quantity. I know in TCG Player, you can filter by quantity 4 or more. In eBay, you need to Google it. I always forget how to do it exactly. But there's a certain like thing you can type in to your URL. You can kind of add something into your URL where it'll only show you people with more than 10, more than 20, more than 30. These days, most things that I buy, I don't want to buy 10 of something or 5 of something or 1 of something. I want to buy 50 or 100. Very rarely am I buying like a 1-off, a 2-off thing. So eBay just is not the optimal platform for me to buy from. Gump Brave said, I like that analogy. I don't know what the analogy was or if it was even me or someone else, but I'm only 6 minutes behind. Even when I'm only 6 minutes behind chat, I have no idea what I was talking about 6 minutes ago. I'm so bad at this. I I have been told this before too. I always forget. You can still get gifted subs if you're not watching. I had an email the other day come through when I was out. Let's see. There's Amplitude's 50 gifted. Gotta throw that up on the screen. Appreciate you. So not all these are guaranteed lurkers. Some amount of these people are just minding their own business and they're gonna get an email that Amplitude gifted them a sub. Every time you type out Amplitude, it autocorrects to Amplitude. Allison Silverland says, thanks, Amplitude. Question, can you talk about your perfect hot dog toppings? I'm not much of a hot dog guy. If I eat a hot dog, it's usually just plain. I like the little bit of hot sauce maybe, but it's usually just plain, maybe some cheese on top. I don't really do hot dogs that often though. I got a WotC return of 250 cards. Most are 8s, 9s, some 10s. How do you price these relative to modern garbage? Same way. I mean, you look up low list, you look up last sold. You cry yourself to sleep when you're selling WotC first edition PSA 9s that are hard to source. When you're selling them for the same or less, then I'm selling this. You just you cry yourself to sleep, or you just do it without thinking about it. I fell asleep. I'm gonna have to watch this back. Vintage 8s less than modern 10s. Big facts. There you go. So Gump Brave knows how to do it. Yeah. So you just append that to the end of your URL. And if you want it to be minimum quantity 20, minimum quantity 50, then you just change the 4 to those numbers. Dan, you seemed rather pissed at Old Skool when starting Pokeflips. Is everything all right? Did I? I went live like 30 seconds before he was ready. I just thought that would be like a funny joke to do the old, hey everyone, Old Skool Pokemon is not here. I don't know if it was taken as funny or not. If it was actually taken that I was mad at him, I was not remotely. It was actually funny. I was running borderline late that day myself. And he was running a little bit late. We ended up being live only a minute or two late. It wasn't a big deal. But no, I'm still having a lot of fun with Pokeflips. I still really enjoy it. We have a new guest we're trying to lock down for next week. We have a couple backups in mind if and when that one doesn't pan out. But yeah, we'll keep doing our thing fortnightly if and when Nick will have me. I intend to keep continuing it. Brad's hoping for a Pokeflips breakup. Brad is always just rooting against me. You got to have someone rooting against you to keep you motivated, to prove them wrong, right? You got to have your haters, you got to have your doubters. Brad is both for me. So thank you, Brad. Oh, I forgot the Rangers game started. Let me see how that started. See a dangerous question upcoming potentially. See the word politics. Let me see if I can do anything with that. Scarlet and Violet are not that easy to 10 and will def see 151 with low pops. That's how bad the quality is until second wave, maybe. My general strategy lately is to not like fight the current and try to source gradable condition cards if they're largely just poor quality. Buying 50 quantity, 100 quantity on TCG Player does not work well when 80% are going to be non-gradable. Having bought hundreds of Celebration Charizards, 25% approximately is what I've found are not gradable. And that's not to say 75% that are gradable are all 10s. Behind the paywall, I bought 99. I showed you exactly how they panned out. Some amount get 9s by design. I send cards that I expect to get 9s. Some get 9s, some get 8s, some get 10s, as it always goes, plus or minus 1 generally. And my biggest thing is like, the 10s are more punishing than the 9s are. Sorry, the 10s are more rewarding than the 9s are punishing. So as long as I'm getting more 10s than 9s, which I do, the maths. The numbers work out. So With the new ones though, it's like you'd be buying, if I buy 100 of a card and only 20 are gradable and I'm getting 10 10s and 10 9s, it makes it harder for the math to math. So I just try to not fight the current, and I try to just, lately I'm not even doing as much. Like I'm doing the eBay Vault consignment thing. That's my number one. And my number two is like my own stuff. Ultra modern English is like automated. It's all on auto allocation, auto claim all, take it in, do my thing with it. So I kind of work backwards with my time. Like everyone's time is finite. Once the school year is over, I'll have more time again and I'll expand into more sourcing, more other things. But for this school year, this winter especially, I'm like priority one is eBay Vault. Get good cards in, get good cards through there. And priority two is like just keeping up with my modern allocations, all that stuff I have to do. And then number three is like sourcing cards to grade and flip. And then number four, number five, dealing with backlog, working on some efficiencies like that. That's kind of where I'm at right now. Here we go. Dan, with all politics aside, if you were president, would you allow tax breaks for ripping product and selling / grading slabs? I don't think that's how presidency works, for one. But for two, like, does that not exist? I mean, if you become a business and you do this legitimately, when you put any money into the business, that is like a write-off against your profits, right? I guess I don't fully understand the question. The percent of gold analogy, I think it's really good. Is that when I was talking about like the gold not going all the way out to the border? Maybe. Uh Dan, what do you get on a burger? On a burger, I like diverse things with burgers. I can do just slap a thing of cheese on it, just a cheeseburger. I don't do ketchup. I don't do ketchup. I don't do mayo. So those would be two quick things that a lot of people do that I don't. I don't do mustard. So no ketchup, mayo, mustard. Probably the three most like common condiments on burgers. I do hot sauce or barbecue sauce, blue cheese, bacon, lettuce, onion. I don't do tomato. Uh, fried egg, fried egg and bacon. I don't know what they call them, but yeah, like I've had a lot of different kinds of burgers, and there's a lot of good options out there. What do you think the future holds for base set first edition PSA 9 hollows? I think the future, I have no idea when, but I said this before in videos. I think a lot of stuff in real terms, real inflation adjusted terms. Oh, the Rangers are up 1-0. I just remembered that I opened that on that tab. I hope Kreider scored first. That's why I bet on the score first. Who scored? Ooh, Lafreniere. The Lafreniere from Panarin and Hedel. Wasn't who I bet on, but I'm happy with it. Anyways, what do you think the future holds for base set first edition PSA 9s? I think where they're priced at today. Oh yeah, I mentioned that a lot of things I think peaked in real inflation adjusted terms, like universally for their entire lifetime, our entire lifetime. I would not put base set first edition PSA 9 hollows in there. Some non-hollows I would put in there. Potentially even some 10, maybe not 10 non-hollows. 10s I think will do better. But PSA 9 first edition base hollows, I don't know where exactly all of them are. I know Charizard's around 20K. I know a lot of them are like high several hundreds, under 1,000. I'm sure Blastoise is a couple grand or somewhere in there. I think it might take a while, but I think if you were parking money, they would be one of the higher things on a list where I would feel safer parking money. That said, I am not parking money in PSA 9 first edition base hollows. One easy thing that I would put higher on a higher rung, like if you want to do like a tier list of what I think are the best holds longer term. And this is a very dangerous thing, and this is not advice for anybody. But clearly, what I'm doing, I think is good. What I'm doing, I think is going to work. The only thing I'm really holding for any amount of time, a couple years, 2 to 5 years maybe, is my plan. Ultra Modern Sealed. If you can get Ultra Modern Sealed, probably not Scarlet and Violet, not something that like, get it 2 years from now when it's just about to go out of print. Don't get it today, largely speaking. Uh, but yeah, the only thing I hold 2 to 5 year time frame. I don't hold anything longer than 5 year time frame. I wouldn't say everything's for sale, aside from my Ultra Modern Sealed that like would be sold at a loss. So I would hold that before I would hold this. But if I had to hold something for 20 years, if I had to, like I like PSA 9 first edition base set hollows more than I like Ultra Modern Sealed for 20 years. And that might sound crazy, and that might, people might not understand that. I don't know. Maybe some amount of people will be on the same page as me. Some amount of people will think I'm crazy. But if I had to hold something for 20 years, in many cases, I would rather hold some select higher end slabs than Ultra Modern Sealed. But some amount of it too is like considering the whole picture. If you want to look at raw dollar terms, will 20 grand in Ultra Modern cases grow to a larger amount of money? Maybe. Than 20 grand in a PSA 9 base first Charizard. But like the cleanness of being able to just send a PSA 9 first Charizard to the vault, eBay vault, sell it in 20 years and pay 0% fees versus selling a 20-year-old product by the cases, like 20 grand worth would be, say you're getting cases around $500 now, like they used to be XY Sword and Shield era, because they're just not performing well. So that would be like 40 cases, having to move one card versus 40 cases of product and store it and all that stuff. Like, I would lean towards Charizard winning that, but like that is so much of a guess, and I'm not making either gamble. So like, note that that's a complete guess by someone with no vested interest on either side of that. So it's worth exactly what you paid for it. That guess. But it's an interesting thought. What's the most high value Pokemon card up to date? The PSA 10 Pikachu Illustrator sold to Logan Paul for $4 million cash, as I understand it, and a $1.275 million valuation on a PSA 9 Illustrator. So $5.275 million. I miss Jake. How's he doing? He's doing well, I think. He does his weekly office hours, which I'm not a part of. We both have office hours in our Patreon Discord, and we do our monthly Zooms. And I saw him in where were we just? Charlotte. And I don't know if he's doing Houston. I don't think he was signed up for. He's not signed up, but I did see him mention in Discord that theoretically he might be able to if someone had table space open. Question: are you still on 500 cards graded a month? I probably up through September. I sent out 500 every month. Probably. I'm not positive. Pretty close, if not. Average. October, I've not yet sent out 500. Do I have 500 to send? I just sent like 140-ish to CGC, I think. That was celebrations or not celebrations. That was 151 promos. Ooh, Rangers are up 2-0. Good start. Kreider scored the second one. But yeah, I'm only going to be going about another 15 minutes. I see it's already 7:44. Time's flying by. But yeah, I will probably, for the next 6 months during the school year, I will probably fall off 500 a month. Maybe I'll be closer to 250, 300 a month. We'll have to see where it goes. But as of right now, like I probably won't. If OSP wasn't your co-host, who would you like to have as a replacement? Well, Nick, I was like Nick's third choice. I don't know. I think there's a lot of people I could see myself. The biggest thing it would come down to, I would want something that I could count on doing it for the long term. Nick's got me a little nervous. I mean, how hard Nick is going into eBay Live, abandoning his YouTube channel, all this and that. Makes me a little nervous, but I think Nick is going to stick it out. I think we got a good thing going with Pokeflips, and I hope I never need to shop for a replacement. If Nick bailed, I would intend to continue it. but my plan is for him to not bail. So yeah, no sense trying to plan for something that I don't think or want to happen. um, P Kidwell Freelance Dan sent you an email hoping to hear back. Would love to assist you in clerical or administrative needs you have. IRS isn't here. Answer, Mr. President. Oh, okay. I was completely lost, Gump Brave. I'm sorry. That was when I was talking about the whole 5 nines, 2 nines, 3 nines. Yeah. We're not demanding it, right? So we definitely, there were times in my former line of work where we were producing certain products too well. We were spending too much time and effort and energy making them too clean, too pure, too high quality. That is actually a thing. It might sound crazy, but it's actually a thing. There are times where our customers didn't demand it, so we would lower the quality of our raw materials. If you can buy 99% pure gold for spot price, and you don't need 99.99999% pure gold, like that costs a lot more than spot price to get that. So maybe they buy cheaper paper. Maybe they, instead of replacing the blades or the cutters or however these things work, maybe they, instead of replacing those every month, maybe they replace them every year. Quality suffers, but the consumer doesn't care. The consumers care to some extent. They cry about it, but they don't care enough to stop buying. And is a noisy consumer that's making you worth more money worth rectifying, right? Like it's actually an interesting it's an interesting thought that in my former line of work we actually had to like grapple with, and we actually had to try to like optimize. You don't optimize. This is actually a really interesting and a really I think it's a really applicable thing in the eBay space. You don't optimize for minimum you don't optimize for minimum complaints. You don't optimize for minimum issues, minimum imperfections. You optimize for maximum profit. That is what a business does. You don't make cars to where nobody ever gets in a fatal car accident. Very gruesome, very sad, very crazy to think about. But like they could theoretically make a car safe enough that no one gets into a fatal accident at 55 miles an hour. The consumer wouldn't pay that much money. No one would pay. Like you could have a Hans device like they have it in the NASCAR and the Indy cars. You could have all these things that no consumer actually wants. So it's like you just optimize for profit, which if the consumer consumes with some issues that they complain about, the true complaint would be stopping their purchases. And nobody's stopping their purchases. So you're going to have some amount of squeaky wheels that complain and this and that. You're going to have some amount of like Pokemon having to reimburse people. They call the 1-800 number on the product. I don't know if that's even a thing, but it probably is. They open a support ticket with Pokemon Center. Like when people talk about, oh, I can't believe they throw these promos into a box. Sometimes they get damaged. I actually have one that got damaged. This one's like a PSA 6 or a PSA 3 or whatever. Overall, though, the profit maximizing strategy is not to ensure that zero promos get damaged. It's to just do what they're doing and then deal with the few issues as they arise. Like, that's just a fact of the matter. So, yeah, it's an interesting thing, though. Dry burgers with no sauce. See, the key is to not, like, cook them like a hockey puck. It is hockey season. My grandma, when we go out somewhere, my grandma will actually say, I want it like hockey puck well. She wants that thing like almost burnt. I order them like medium well. There's a little bit of juiciness to them still. Throw some cheese on there. Throw some hot sauce, barbecue sauce. You get your moisture from like just having juicy meat if done properly. Process vintage going to 0. We're going to fix his burger. Can I get a brief rundown of what the market chat is? It's a Q&A. Whatever you want to ask about. We've talked about a decent amount of things. We've talked about eBay. We've talked about a handful of different things. Chat just kind of leads me down all these different avenues, and I talk about them. What's your favorite board game currently, or childhood favorite board game? I used to love Monopoly. when I was younger. I used to love Monopoly and Life. What else? Risk was fun. These days, the two games that my wife and I play relatively regularly, been really busy lately, so we haven't played in a couple months. But Seven Wonders Duel is like a two-player version of Seven Wonders. Amazing game. And Race for the Galaxy is another great game. Seven Wonders has a little board thing, but it's mostly like a card game. You kind of build your own civilizations, and there's a few different win conditions. And then Race for the Galaxy is just cards. You build like a settlement in space in the universe. A couple different win conditions there, but yeah, cool games. Big fan. What's your thought on Aaron Rodgers tearing his Achilles? I wish he hadn't. How high can you jump? What's your vertical? Well, I'm 6'4". My standing, I can stand flat footed. Maybe I need to go tippy toes. No, I don't think I need to go tippy toes. I think I stand flat footed and reach 8 feet, and I can't dunk a ball unless I like if I mentally prepare for like half an hour and I have like a good day, an extra springy day, and I'm wearing the right like. I was actually just at a birthday party with my son, and it was in like a gymnasium, and I grabbed the basketball, shot a couple free throws, and shot around with it a little bit. Someone's like, "Oh, dunk one." I can't dunk in what I'm wearing right now. I can't dunk without some preparation. So my standing reaches 8 feet, and I can't dunk. My vertical's less than like 2.5 feet, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what an average vertical is or should be, but I'm 6'4" and I can't dunk, so that tells you something. uh, what about a 1998 holographic Ninetales card? 1998. I don't know. What's a 1998 Japanese holographic? Is that like I don't even know what that would be. I mean, base set English is 1999. Base set Japanese is 1996. Is it like I don't even know what that would be. Um, Thanks for the insight on the base versus PSA 9s. Really appreciate it. Picked up a Blastoise 9 for 3.9K. I just really love the old school hollows and hope they go up. Time will tell though. See, my thing is like personally, if my sole goal is capital appreciation, I would just put 3.9K in tax advantaged broad index funds. I think that will do more. If you want some kind of a hybrid of bringing you joy and bringing you nostalgia and making money, I think that's a reasonable thing. I think I see many scenarios where 20 years from now that could have provided a good year over year growth. I just risk adjusted. I don't think it will beat the S&P 500 or something like that, especially in a tax advantage account. That's a big layer to it. Uh, Everyone's goals are different. Everyone's cash flow, blah blah blah, all that stuff. Everyone's in a different scenario. There are definitely worse things you could do with 3.9K, in my opinion. uh, if he bails, you keep his intro. Yeah, I'll have to just put it on a soundboard. If Nick bails on me, I'll put it on a soundboard. I'd love to sell my 1998 holographic Ninetales card, but it's in really rough condition. Would it be worth anything? I've literally had it since I was. Yeah, I don't know what 1998. If it was 1996, it's Japanese based probably. If it's 1999, it's English based. But it could be some like I'm not good with like the card ass and sealed ass those kind of cards. It could be something like that. I don't know. We're on a Moana and the Rise of Gru marathon over here. What's on your TV all day? They like brain breaks. I don't know if you know what a brain break is, but Danny Go does a lot of them. It's like an interactive thing where they just gotta like jump around and do jumping jacks and dodge all these things on the screen, and it gets them active. Watching TV is a very lazy, bad thing to do too much of, but brain breaks are one of those things that gets them out of their chair a lot of times and dancing and doing all kinds of stuff. So if it's gonna be TV, brain breaks are better than most. But they watch a lot of different things. Too much TV. Shiny is a banger song, but that's actually my son's favorite song. We listen to Disney radio the last few months in the car, and he's a big fan when that one comes on. Do you see a shift to CGC because of the new label? I see many comments in the last about people who like them more and more. I think CGC is putting out the best product as far as slab and label. If the market will actually care, if the market will actually shift to that, I don't know. I think a lot of the investor money, I think a lot of the more serious money, for lack of a better term, is in PSA and likely will be for the longer term. But I think a lot of the like consumer money, a lot of the $50 and under, $100 and under, I think a lot of that is slanting CGC and will continue to in the future, I think. Just given the fact that they turn around a card a little bit quicker, not much quicker than PSA anymore, but for $10, 960 whatever, instead of 15. That's big. Has anyone tried complaining to the Pokemon Center about receiving a damage promo to see if they send you a new one? I've heard of people who have done that. I think successfully, unless I'm misremembering. As a Mets and Rangers fan, ever thought about dabbling in sports cards? I have a couple serialized Igor Shesterkin cards, just because I think he's a monster in the net. It's a shame the Rangers never got a cup with Lundqvist, Henrik. But yeah, I think they'll get one with Shesterkin, so I'm investing early. I don't really care. I mean, obviously, I want the Rangers. I'm more invested in the thought of the Rangers winning a cup than actually like the monetary gain I could theoretically get with a couple Shesterkin cards. But yeah, I have a couple RPAs of Igor. Mentally prepare for 30 minutes. Can you please go over minute to minute what goes through your head? Um, I just thinking very light thoughts, having not just scarfed down like a half of a Little Caesars pizza or something of that nature. I would need to really be ready to dunk. I would need to like prepare that day, just eating light, and I probably still couldn't do it. That's what I mean by it. DM Dan on Insta with a hey, he likes those icebreakers. Yeah, I love it. Walrus, best deep dish pizza in Chicago. Go. I'm not a big fan. Boondock says he's a lose guy. Mr. Ward says pecads. Bill Collins crushed Tarzan too, though. Yeah. My daughter, she's a singer. I'm kind of a singer too. Terrible one. But if a song's on the radio that I know, I'm gonna sing it usually. My daughter, even if she doesn't know, she'll just like hum. She'll just like make sounds and kind of inflect her voice the way that it sounds, kind of imitate it, which I probably do to some extent too when I don't know the words. But yeah, she's funny. We are getting really close, I think. I don't know if they'll be on time or not, but we're getting really close to Old Card Shop and crew going live. We're getting close to my kids' bedtime. So once I see them go live over there, I will pronounce Pequods, unfortunately. I intend to raid this stream. You don't have to go there now because you'll be automatically funneled over there once I end. But I plan on raiding that stream that I just linked once those guys go live. So yeah, I appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. If you've got last minute questions, drop them in. I'll throw them up on screen and I'll try to tackle them. But oh, here's one right here. Do you think English 151 prices will crash? It's an unfortunate answer, and I know people don't want to hear it. There is a number of 151 they could print that will make it crash. Will they print that many? I have no idea. There is a number of Scarlet and Violet base booster boxes they could have printed where that would be a $200 box. They printed more than that, though. I don't know how many they printed. And for every set, it's a little bit different. I think 151 is pretty hype. A lot of people are enjoying it. It still could be overprinted, though. They could reprint Evolving Skies to where it's an $80 box for the next 3 years. They're probably not going to, but they could. And certain people just get it in their minds that, like, Evolving Skies has to go to 1,000. This set sucks. It has to stay 80 for 2 years. We don't know the print runs. Supply is unknown. Demand is fickle. Demand could skyrocket even higher than it is right now for English 151, and reprints could be sparse. We have no idea. I think, and I mentioned this in my video. I mentioned this in my video on Monday when I talked about my strategy with Ultra Modern Sealed. I keep a little bit of each set because in hindsight, everything is obvious. Oh, it's obvious. Evolving Skies went to 400. It was an amazing set. Well, if it was an amazing set that got printed too much, it would be 100. It would be lower. That's just the way that things go. Supply and demand. It just turned 8 o'clock. They did not yet go live, but I do see Swami and Ray in chat, so hopefully they're going live soon. But yeah, anyways, do I think they'll crash? And I don't know if you mean singles or sealed. I was taking it as sealed, but it all comes down to supply and demand, and I just don't know. I just have no idea. They just went live, so I'm about to funnel you guys over there. Let me try to catch up, and I'll funnel you guys over. What night was the next late night OSRS stream? It's not set yet. In no scenario picture Dan singing for any purpose calling cap. It absolutely happens. It's not a pretty sight. Drunk Dan karaoke live, never. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm fully caught up with all the questions. I appreciate everyone hanging out. Go enjoy Old Card Shop, Swami, Wheels Warehouse, and Ray recapping Denver. I'm sending you there.